Now we have already discussed about different types of habitats and their adaptations. The animals which are living in that particular habitat, they have certain adaptation to adjust with their particular climatic condition. So here some examples are given there in our textbook. First example is of about camel. You know that camel is generally available in desert area. The Rajasthan and all, if you go, you can observe there are a large number of camels are available there. And these camels, they are living in a particular area. You know, the climate of desert condition will be very hot. The climate is very hot and dry, and the water availability is very less. Okay, very less water availability is there. Yearly once or twice they will get for the namesake some amount of rain. So the water availability in that area is very less, but even then there are plants and animals are surviving there. And one of the example here given in your textbook, that is camel. And you studied about the camel in your 4th standard also, you have studied. But once again I will repeat it. Camel, it is known as ship of desert. You studied it. Okay. Camel is known as ship of desert. And they are able to survive there because of certain body features present on their body. Okay. Present on them. Because of those body features, they can survive, which is not available in other animals. Like in our area, some animals are there like cow, goat, sheep and all. But those features of camel will not be seen in them. Okay. So camel is able to live there because they have certain body features which makes them survive in that area, which they are having special adaptation. So now let us see what are the special adaptive features of camel. The first adaptive feature is their body is very tall. Okay, they have very long legs. Body is tall because their legs are so long. So the length of the leg makes the body of the camel away from the hot sand. Okay, that's why their body is far away from the hot sun because of their legs are very long. At the same time, you might have observed that on the back of the camel, there will be a bump, okay, a hump-like structure is there. Actually, that is the stored fat. Whenever food materials are available, camels will eat more food and that food material will be converted into fat. And when the enough vegetation is not there, whenever food availability is less, this from the stored fat, camel is able to absorb the fat material for their energy purpose. Okay, so hump, they have hump. Actually hump is stored fat only. At the same time, at a time when they drink water, they can store around 30 to 40 liters of water in their abdominal cavity. Okay, they are able to store more amount of water, around 30-40 liters of water they are able to store in their abdominal cavity. At the same time, whenever they have the food, that time that will be converted into fat, it is stored in their hump. So if for many days if they are not getting food also, they are able to survive. And next thing, their body and their legs, you can find there is long hoofs are there. Hoof. What is by hoof? Have you heard about hoof? In bulls and all you can observe. Even cow also you can find hoofs are there. Hoofs means kulambu, will say kulambu. Okay, hooves. And these hooves are just like shoe-like structures, and it is of long, so that even if they try to walk over the hot sand, they will not get any problem. Okay, they have very long hooves, at the same time very long legs, and they have the capacity for storing food material for a long period of time, and they can store water in their body for a long period of time. So these all are, and moreover they will not, their urine content will be highly concentrated. Through urine also they will not lose excess amount of water, and they have a thick skin. So the sweating is not available in most of the desert animals. Okay, so because of sweating, what is happening in our body, more amount of water loss is there from our body. But in desert animals, most of them, they will not undergo the process of sweating, so that water can be prevented, water loss can be prevented. In this way, they are saving water, and whenever they will urinate, they will leave out highly concentrated urine. Maximum amount of water they will reabsorb and send the highly concentrated form of urine. In that way, they are able to save water in their body. So these animals are able to survive there, especially camels. Do you understand what are the special features, adaptive features seen in camel? They have a huge hump on their back. They can store more amount of water in their body. They have very long legs and they have hooves. At the same time, they have eyelashes. Okay, whenever the dusty wind is there, that time more amount of sand will get mixed with the air and to move from one place to another place. So, in order to escape from their dusty wind, they have eyelids with the eyelashes. Okay, so that will prevent the entry of dust particles into their body. Moreover, they are able to adjust the nostrils opening. They are able to adjust whenever dust wind is there. That time they will be able to close their nostrils by adjusting the front muscles of the nostrils. Okay, in this way they are escaping from the surrounding adverse climatic condition. Because of all this reason, we can say camel is known as the ship of desert. There is no other much conveyance facility for traveling also. So, camel is used for traveling purpose through desert area it is used. Okay children, now let us see example for aquatic organism and its adaptation. Okay, so most commonly we are studying aquatic organism, that is about fish only. In the previous chapter we have studied about fish, how they will move from one place to another place, that all we have studied. Okay, in the previous lesson, body movements, fishes how they are moving, that already you know that. And why they are moving in search of their food, or sometimes for their air, for breathing purpose. They are coming from lower part of the ponds or rivers to the upper part. I told you what is the specialty of upper layers. In upper layers, more amount of oxygen will be available because plants are fishes are using dissolved oxygen. So this dissolving of oxygen is possible mainly in more quantity, that is on the surface layers. That's why the fishes are moving upward now and then, and they will take the water which contains more amount of oxygen through their mouth cavity, then it will send to their gills chamber. There they absorbs oxygen. Again the water which contain carbon dioxide will be sending outside through their gill opening. That means gill is covered by means of a covering that is called operculum, and through that they are sending the water outside. And these fishes, they are living in water. I told you they need to move for several purposes in water. And for movement, fishes are having a special body feature and body shape, that is streamlined body shape. That also you studied in the previous class. Fishes are having streamlined body shape which makes the fish to move through water in an easy manner. They are able to move, okay, in water. Moreover, on the surface of the body, you can observe there is a chitinous structures, okay, that is called scale. And these scales which is present on their surface, it will protect the inner body parts. Fishes on the surface of their body, you can observe they will have very strong structures called a scale, and these scales are protecting the fish from external injuries. Moreover, those scales are slippery. Because of that slipping nature, it is able to move water in a fast manner. Okay, and they will absorb the oxygen which is dissolved in water already. I told you. Again, they have fins. Both the sides they have fins. They are known as lateral fins. With the help of lateral fins, they can balance their body, and the front portion is pointed so that they can cut the water easily. At the same time, on the back side they will have tail fins, and these tail fins are helpful for changing the direction. Okay, in order to change the direction, they have tail fins. With the help of tail fin, they are able to change the direction. Lateral fins are able to manage the body balance. At the same time, dorsal side is also there. On the dorsal side, they have fins, and they have ventral side also fins are there. So, with the help of all these fins, they are able to move freely in water. Okay, so that is the adaptation of fish to live in water. The most important adaptation of fish to live in water, that is the presence of gills. Gills means what? They are the respiratory organ in fish. Gills are able to absorb oxygen which is dissolved in water. Gills contain large number of blood vessels are there. Whenever the oxygen containing water enters into the gill chamber. From the gill chamber, this oxygen gets diffused into the blood capillaries. At the same time, from the blood capillaries, carbon dioxide is available that will be released into the surrounding water inside the gill chamber. And whenever they will open the gill chamber, this water which contain carbon dioxide goes out through their gill chamber, gill openings. At the same time, again they will open the mouth widely. That time they can take more amount of oxygen contained fresh water into the mouth cavity. From the mouth, they will go to the gill chamber. Exchange of gases takes place inside the gill chamber. After the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, the water present in the gill chamber will be going out through the gill opening. Again, fresh water enters into the mouth which contain oxygen that will be absorbed by the gills. After absorbing oxygen, the water containing carbon dioxide will be released out through the gill opening. So this process keep repeating in fish so that they are able to survive very happily in water. So what about the case if we take a fish out of water and we need to allow some fishes to grow along with us in our home? Is it possible? No. Just for some time they will be staying on the land. After some time automatically they dies. The same case us also, when we happen to live underwater without much other facilities, we have to die because the oxygen which is dissolved in water we are not able to breathe. That is the main reason. Okay, now let us see what are the different components of habitat. We have already studied what is habitat. A place where organisms live is known as habitat. Again, we studied about adaptation. In order to live in a particular habitat, a plant should have certain features in them, or an animal should have certain features in their body, and those body features which makes them survive in that particular area is known as adaptation. And adaptation of two animals also we have already discussed. One is camel. They are able to adapt to the highly hot condition of desert area. At the same time, fishes which are living in water, their body features also we have discussed. Now, let us see what are the different components of a habitat. Different components of habitats are, one is biotic component, includes human beings, animals, birds, plants, microorganisms, all are example for biotic components. Whereas abiotic components are sunlight, water, soil, all these are example for abiotic factors. These abiotic factors are nothing but, already I have told you in the previous topic, that is non-living factors, okay, which is not having bio. Bio means what? Life. So factors which are not having life, they are known as abiotic factors. Okay, so non-living factors only abiotic factors, living factors only biotic factors. Okay, biotic components and abiotic components, these are the main components of habitat. Examples already I have told you, and these biotic components and abiotic components are interrelated. So biotic factors should be protected by abiotic factors should be protected by living factors. At the same time, if the living factors need to survive, they need the support or availability of abiotic factors. Without air, we cannot breathe. Without water, we can't drink. Without food, we cannot survive. So, biotic factors or biotic components and abiotic components are depending on each other. Okay, that's all. Okay, now let us discuss an activity. In your textbook it is there. In this activity, what you need to do means, you need to collect some amount of mung seeds. Mung seeds means nothing but they are green gram. Green gram means, you know what is green gram. Okay, so you have to take some green gram from a shop or from your storehouse, and this green gram should be divided into 4 parts. Okay, and one of the parts should be soaked in water, and it should be kept in an open place. It should be kept in an open place. And last time we have discussed in the second chapter, we have discussed about the germination of mung seeds we have discussed. So after soaking it, if we keep it in a cloth and tie it properly, and keep it in some place or somewhere where enough warmth is there, then automatically it keeps germinating. And another part also, this another part of the monk seed which is soaked, it should be kept inside a fridge. You know, fridge, the temperature is very low. Okay, inside the fridge when you keep it, you can observe, you just keep it. Observation afterwards we'll discuss. And you have to take some part, you have to keep it in a cloth. After soaking, you have to keep it in a cloth and keep it in an open place where some amount of sunlight is available there. And another part, third part, you have to keep completely in hot sun, under hot sun you have to place it. Okay, then another one, you have to keep it in dark room. First of all, you have to take monk seeds and soak it. A part of it should be kept in dark room. Another part should be kept in the freezer or inside the fridge we must place. Another part should be kept in the open place in the sunlight for some time. Another part you have to keep it in a cloth or somewhere you tie it after soaking. Then keep it somewhat lighted area you must place it. Then after a few days you just observe. What do you observe? Do all these seeds germinate in a uniform manner? No, we can't see that. It will not be able to germinate uniformly because the plants which are placed in the dark room, even if they germinate, they will not grow properly because enough sunlight is not there, means plant growth will be affected. And again another portion of the seed we placed inside the fridge. There you know the temperature is very low. There also the growth may not take place properly. Okay, in a small manner they may just sprout, but it will not grow completely inside the fridge. And if you are keeping it in hot sun for continuously, if you keep it in hot sun, what happen? Because of the high temperature, even if they sprout, the germinated seeds may dry. So that's in all the four situation. And whereas after soaking it, if you keep it in a cloth and you keep it a somewhat lighted area, if you keep, they keep germinating in a proper manner. So in all the four situation, we used same seeds, but the non-living factors are different for them. Some enough water, sunlight will be available. Some area only sunlight is available, high amount. Temperature is very high. In fridge, when we place it, there only the climate is or the temperature is very low. It is very cold. So in all these different situations, the non-living factors have certain influence on the germination of the seed. Accordingly, there may be variation also. So the non-living factors like this temperature, water content, sunlight, darkness, all these. Okay, they are the non-living factors, and these non-living factors having an influence on the growth of a plant or a animal. Okay, and if they are not getting enough amount of non-living factors in a proper manner, they may not grow properly. So from this experiment you understood that only. Okay, we have divided the seeds into 4 groups. One we kept inside the fridge, another we kept in a dark place, another one we placed in hot sun, another one we kept in an area where enough amount of sunlight is available. Okay, sufficient amount of sunlight is available. In all the 4 situation, we saw the growth of the plant vary from one place to another place. So the climatic conditions are changing. It is not a sudden change. Okay, weather of a particular area, weather may morning to evening you can observe the differences. But climate of a particular area, it takes time to change. Okay, it will non-living factors take time to change. So if any plant want to adapt it to that particular area, it has to survive there for a long period of time. Then only the adaptation will be possible. A short period of time, climate will not change. Okay, so organisms which are living in a particular area where enough amount of climatic factors are not supporting, then in that area, that animals cannot survive there. If they want, even if they want to adjust with that particular climate, those plants or animals have to stay in that particular area for a long period of time. Then their body slowly try to adjust with the non-living factors of that area. And if they are adjusted, they are able to survive there. And if they are not able to adjust, they cannot survive in that particular area. Okay, so that's why some plants like a cardamom plant, you know. Cardamom plants, they are able to adjust it to cool climate only. Okay, especially in our area, Idukki district, you can find cardamom estate is there. Okay, cardamom estate, a lot of cardamom plants are available there. And if you plant these cardamom plants in Kottayam district, will it grow there? It will not be able to survive there because there the climate is very hot. In such a hot climate, they are not able to survive. Even if they try to grow under shade and all, they will not produce the yield which is producing in our district. Like coffee plant also you can observe. They even if in Kottayam district also you can find there are large number of some area you can find coffee plants will be there, but they will not produce much yield like that of our state. So in this way, crops are also adjusting to the surrounding climatic condition. If they are adjusted, they are able to grow well, they will be able to produce better yield. And if they are not able to grow, not able to adjust with the climatic condition, they will not produce much yield. One more example I will tell you. In Kottayam district, the climate of Kottayam district is suitable for the growth of rubber plants. So they will produce much yield. Okay, rubber plants in Kottayam district, they will produce much yield. But if we are growing rubber plants in our surrounding in this cool climate, most of the time when we try to tap, we will not get the latex from it because the growth, the climate is not suitable for the rubber plants in our area. So that is the reason. Okay. Okay, children. Now let us discuss about the adaptation which are seen in desert plants. Desert already we have discussed about animals. Okay, camel is an example for a desert animal. What all features are there in their body, that all we have discussed. Now let us discuss about a desert plant. What all features we can observe in desert plants. So can you say what is the mostly available plant in desert area? That is cactus variety. Okay, cactus plants. So cactus plants speciality or adaptations we will discuss now. So cactus plants, almost all you all are familiar, and your home may have this plant also. Okay, a cactus plant stem is very fleshy. When you catch it, you can feel it will be very fleshy, and that fleshy nature of cactus plant is because they contain water. They store water. Why they are storing water? I told you in cactus in desert area, the availability of water is very less. So whenever water is available, what they used to do? They used to absorb more amount of water and they will store in their stem. So that stem looks very fleshy. That's the reason. Okay, whenever more availability of water is there, their root system is well developed. Okay, the root system of cactus plant is well developed and they will spread widely in the particular area and they are going more deeper into the soil. Why? In order to collect maximum amount of water. The root system is well developed. That is the most important point you have to remember. In cactus plants, the root system is well developed so that they are able to absorb maximum amount of water from the soil and they will store that water on their fleshy stem. Because of the presence of water only, that stem of the cactus plant looks fleshy. Whenever you try to break a cactus plant, you can observe some milky juice comes out. Okay, that is called a latex type. Just like rubber latex, a milky juice keep coming outside. That is actually stored water only. And second point is they will not have leaves. Okay, cactus plants, even if it is a plant, they don't have leaves on it, and even if leaves are there, they are very minute, very smaller leaf like structures will be there. Why this process happens in cactus plants? Because if leaves are there, on the leaves automatically stomata will be there. Through stomata, what are stomata? Stomata are minute pores which are seen on the leaf, and these, if the leaves are there, stomata will be there, and if the stomata are there, generally definitely transpiration takes place and they will lose more amount of water. So in order to prevent the loss of water by transpiration, desert plants are provided with a leaf like smaller structure or they are reduced to spine like structures, and instead of leaves, if they have spines, there is some other benefit is there for desert plants. As there is no much vegetation in the desert area, The plant eating animals are moving in search of plants. So if these cactus plants body, if they don't have the spine like structures, those fleshy stem will be eaten by other animal. So in order to get protection from such predators, they have spine like structures on their body. At the same time, 2 points are there, 2 benefits are there. One is leaves are reduced to spine so that loss of water can be prevented. And the second point is because of the presence of these thorn or spines on the cactus plant stem, these plants will not become food for other animals. They will not be eaten by other animals, so that they will be saved from the attack of other predators. Predator means what? One who eat others. They are known as predators. Okay. So the leaves are thick and fleshy. Again, root system is well developed, and their leaves are fleshy. Not the leaves are reduced to spine. Okay, they don't have the leaves, but the leaves are reduced to spine, and even if leaves are there, very smaller structures will be there. Their root system is well developed. They are able to store more amount of water on them. Then all the plants, they are doing photosynthesis by using their leaves only. Then if the leaves are absent in cactus plant, how they will do the process of photosynthesis? They will do the process of photosynthesis by means of their stem. Okay, in cactus plants, they are doing the process of photosynthesis by their stem. Then without openings, how they can breathe? In leaves, you can find there are stomata, and through that stomata, they are taking inside oxygen, leaving outside carbon dioxide. For photosynthesis, again they are taking inside carbon dioxide and leaving outside oxygen. This exchange of gases, how they will take place? How it will take place in these cactus plants? That is through stomata only. If leaves are not there, then where are stomata? Stomata are present on their stem. Okay, in cactus plants, leaves are absent, so the stomata are placed on their stem itself. Through the stomata, they are doing the process of exchange of gases. For respiration, they are also absorbing oxygen. For photosynthesis, they are absorbing carbon dioxide. As a result of respiration, they will leave outside carbon dioxide. Okay, as a result of respiration, they will leave out carbon dioxide as a waste material. As a result of photosynthesis, they will leave outside oxygen as a waste. As a byproduct, it is coming outside. But for respiration, they are able to absorb this oxygen back. For photosynthesis, they are able to absorb carbon dioxide also back. Whatever they are used, the remaining part will be released into the surrounding, that is used by other plants or animals. Okay, in your textbook there is an activity, activity number 3. Okay, in activity number 3, it is asked for you to do that activity. What you need to do means you have to collect a potted cactus plant. Potted cactus plant. Potted plant means if it is for a potted plant, you will be able to shift it from one place to another place. That's why. Okay. In your previous lesson, we have discussed about an activity to show transpiration. We have collected a potted plant that is covered by means of polythene bag. And if you leave it outside in the surrounding sunlight, you can observe the presence of moisture content in that you can observe. I have discussed it with you. And the same activity only here also, but the plant is different. We are talking about cactus plant. So we need to take a potted cactus plant. Potted plant means plant which is potted in a pot. Okay. Plant which is planted in a pot. That is known as, so it is known as potted plant. Cactus plant, you have to plant it in a pot. And this potted plant, you have to cover it with a polythene bag and tie it tightly and leave it outside in sunlight for 1 or 2 hours. You have to place it. Then afterwards, when you see, you will not observe much amount of moisture content in the polythene bag. What you need to do means you need to take a cactus plant that should be covered by means of a transparent polythene bag. Then after keeping 2 or 3 hours in sunlight, when you observe inside the polythene bag, you will not be able to observe more amount of moisture content. Very little amount of moisture content may be there. If not, it will not be available also. The reason is cactus plants, they have a thick waxy coating over it. Okay, cactus plants are having a thick waxy coating over it, and this waxy coating will prevent the loss of water from the plant body by means of transpiration. And because of the outer surface of the cactus plant is shining and appearance is very smooth, and just like a plastic layer it will be there on the surrounding, on the outer surface of the cactus plant. Whenever sunlight falls, most of the sunlight keep reflecting from that particular waxy coating. Okay, because of the presence of waxy coating like appearance on the cactus plant, it will prevent the loss of water by means of transpiration, and it reflects the sunlight to other direction, so that the plant's water content will remain with the plant itself. In case of other type of plants, in terrestrial plants and all, whenever sunlight is more, the transpiration rate will be more, they will lose more amount of water. But it will not affect those plants because we are providing enough water to them, or a sufficient amount of rain is available in terrestrial area. Whereas in desert, that is also terrestrial area only, where availability of rain is very less. So whatever the water available is there in that area, that will be absorbed by the root system of cactus plants. It will be stored in their fleshy stem. In order to prevent the loss of water from the plant body, they have an outer waxy layer, so that the rate of transpiration can be reduced. So that is the point. Okay.